Ready? Hello everyone, I am here with Griff, part of Project Griffin, my long-term mission to show everyone the power of solar and how it can provide you energy independence, as well as review products in the solar industry, the energy industry, advocate for consumer rights, and even review solar companies and power providers. In this video, I want to talk quickly about what I've been working on the past few months since I finished my trip across the country using only solar power in Griff. I've been back in Idaho for the past couple of months working hard, and what I've been working on is pretty exciting. This video delves into it a little bit. I want to talk about the last solar and net metering case in Idaho, my involvement in it. I was very passionate about it, involved in it, and I've got some exciting news to reveal in this video. So looking forward to sharing that. Stay tuned. And as always, if you want to learn about solar or go solar in any state, including Idaho, check out awakensolar.com and follow me on social media at awakensolar. So hopefully most people know that almost every utility company in America has a governing body or a boss. And in Idaho, it's called the Public Utility Commission. As you can see here, it's puc.idaho.gov. And they govern all of the utilities. So we can go to electric. You can see open cases, closed cases, anything that's been posted. And if we go to the search bar, the last solar case for residential was IPC-E-1815, the application to study net excess energy from customer on-site generation. Basically, Idaho Power wanting to change how solar from customer-owned solar specifically interacts with the grid. So if we go in here to the case, see all the case files started in 2018, the application, a notice to customers a year later in 2019, motion for settlement agreement. That's when things got really interesting, and I'll get into that later. But the reason I'm talking about this is just to talk about the organizations that we have in Idaho that intervened or basically said, hey, we want to know what's going on. We want to be part of what happens in this case. And so if you go down here to the intervener list, you see Boise City, the ICEA, which we'll talk about in just a moment, ICIP, which they only did a petition to intervene, ICL, Idaho Conservation League. They're an organization which I really support after seeing what they did in this case. They actually even helped customers greatly with one specific issue, which I'll get to later. And Idaho Hydro, IIPA, that's an irrigation association, Micron even, non-party petitions for reconsideration. So this was even a customer that I had met with when he was looking into solar, and he won his request for reconsideration. What this basically says is that the net metering policy, which is how if you own solar and you don't store all of your power that you're not using in a battery, it goes back to the grid. It goes back through what's called a net meter or a bidirectional meter, a meter that will go backwards. It tracks the power that goes onto the grid. And Idaho Power, in their initial filings, this is company, that's Idaho Power, all of their initial filings and documents can be found here, and it gets pretty hairy. But basically, they wanted to say that if you got solar and then you sold your house, your net metering policy, whatever policy the net metering policy you signed up under, would not transfer to the new owner. And Mr. Kluckhone, it's a rough name to say. Kluckhone, I believe is how you pronounce it. He had a request for reconsideration saying that that's not how property rights work in America. And he won. Idaho Power actually agreed with him. So that was really neat. And I spoke with him afterwards. I'll probably do an interview with him at some point in the near future because I called him to congratulate him on getting Idaho Power to admit they were wrong. Rocky Mountain Power, Russell Schiermeyer, who's just a local farmer. Sierra Club, Snake River Alliance, Vote Solar. Vote Solar is a national organization that fights for solar rights as well. And then the public comments. And you can click on these. There were over 1,000 people that testified either in person or on the phone or submitted a public comment. And they're just amazing. It's almost nearly unanimously against the settlement. And so I'll get to that. So who is the ICEA? This is the organization in Idaho that purports to speak for the industry. in this case. So on this case, we can go to the ICEA's petition to intervene, their comments, their brief. Mr. King, who's the president of the ICEA, Mr. Carter, who is their lawyer, and an affidavit, and then they filed a petition for reconsideration. They got intervener funding. But if we, let's say, go to their comments here in November of 2019, we can see exactly what they said and what they filed. It's a nonprofit for renewable energy, associated technologies, participated in 8 settlement conferences. This is important because at these conferences, the public didn't know what was being said. There were non-disclosures, and even myself working in the industry didn't know what was happening, behind closed doors. And that was a big part of what was commented on by the public, was that, this is kind of a secret settlement that's been agreed to by these parties, and the lawyers. And so the ICEA held a meeting. I was there, and the consensus at that meeting was we did not want to sign on to the settlement. And the leader of the ICEA said, well, it's going to be really expensive for us to fight this. And as you can see here, one of the things I want to point out is that the website hasn't really been kept up with. It hasn't been updated in a long time. 2017, 2016, that was really kind of when they were active. And for the last 4 years, not a lot's been done. And if we even go to business members, I know some of these companies that are listed here aren't members or are even bankrupt. I used to work for a couple of these companies. I've done solar for a while. And as you can see here, the net metering update, their last update says a settlement has been reached. And so they actually, on the page back to Idaho Power in this case, they signed on to this settlement. They agreed that the settlement was something they wanted. And so did Boise City. The Mayor McLean had just taken office at the time and signed on to the settlement. So you can see the settlement document here is, let's see, it's in the orders and notices, motion for settlement agreement. We can see everyone who signed on. Some parties abstained. There was a lot of politics that was mentioned in that meeting. A lot of things were said that we can't disclose what was talked about to the industry. And they asked for a vote, and it turned into a silent vote. After talking to everyone who was at the meeting, or as many people as I could, a lot of companies were represented. We basically wanted to fight this, and a lot of us, or a few of us at least, testified and were there all night while testimony was given past 3 a.m. the night of the hearing, the public hearing, where the public weighed in. And this is everything approved. Motion to approve settlement. Let's see if I can get to the section here that shows the people that signed on. Motion to accept. Oh, goodness. Well, anywho, the parties that accepted the agreement and everything in it, which would have basically over the last few years would have cut in half the rate that customers were paid for their power. So it wouldn't pay them at the retail rate, 8 and 10 cents. It would fall over the course of a few years down to 4.9 cents and 4.4 cents. So would have cut in half the net metering policy here in Idaho. And again, the ICEA signed on to this. The companies that were involved and the president of the ICEA apparently thought it was a good idea, even though myself and many industry professionals thought it was terrible. And in the meeting, they didn't want to even fight for grandfathering. They didn't want to try and get the previous installed, 1,000 to 2,000 customers that had solar grandfathered in to the net metering agreement they had promised. And to me, that was the telltale sign that this was a terrible travesty for customers and existing customers. And I wanted to create something new. So that's what I'm talking about right now. I'm working with some people in the industry. We're starting a new nonprofit for customers, for solar owners. It will also include involvement from the industry, the solar businesses, and potentially even working with the PUC and Idaho Power, Department of Building and Public Safety in Idaho. But basically, it will be a consumer advocacy group to fight for your rights, to protect solar your ability to get a fair rate on the public utility, a fair rate for the public utility power, make sure the PUC does what's in the public's best interest and what the public wants, really. And so I'm excited to announce that I've been working on that the past couple months with a few people, and we're ready to get things started. Hopefully this later this week or next week. By May of 2021, we will have another announcement and be able to show you all what we've done, and I'm really excited to share that. So stay tuned to awakensolar.com and Awaken TV on YouTube. Check us out on social media at Awaken Solar on all of our major platforms. We hope to be fighting the good fight, working with all of the advocates as well as all of the people that own solar in Idaho, and hopefully even nationwide, working with Vote Solar. I worked with them a lot in the last case and hearing, and I'll be working with them again to help me, structure this properly and get all the I's dotted and T's crossed to help people in Idaho get their fair shake and the retail rate for the power they generate, the investment they make in their grid in Idaho. And again, nationwide, there are organizations in other states, but hopefully we can grow the organization and have advocacy in other states, or at least work with advocates nationwide. Thank you so much. Have a great day.